class is not even hybrid, is face-to-face, because we believe you have to learn how to speak in public with an audience. That's a good education, not something you get at the University of Phoenix. So that just sort of tells you my philosophy about online. And if you ever had online teaching in the online delivery format, if you have any questions or if anything I've been told from folks that you've gone through some sort of orientation, that you know what KC is or Quality Connection and everything like that. But if anything is ever tricky, please let me know, and I will get you to the right people in the information technology department. But hopefully, you're somewhat savvy when it comes to technology. I think I say someplace in here, if you have never been on the internet before, if you don't know what a computer is, if you can't spell computer, this might not be the best class for you. And if you can't spell CMC, that's also a problem. It's CMC. It stands for Computer Mediated Communication. LOLOMG. The next thing is just, I've done a lot of information about, or done a lot of research on technology generally, particularly within the education setting. Actually I was on a panel at the Southern States Communication Association's annual conference in New Orleans this past April. And you can sort of read this. I'm not going to go through this entire thing. But there was a woman named Sarah Briggs who talked about the different delivery systems that contemporary higher education is using, like an online format. But there was a lot more, but I'll let you read all about that. But what I found interesting is sort of juxtaposing that with what some folks, at least reporting from the U.S. News and World Report, said that folks need to learn, particularly once they enter into college. But a lot of folks don't know this before they get to college, so they have to learn it in college. And one was typing ability. We probably need texting ability. I still do. Online etiquette skills. That's something I'm still working on. Software suite basics. I mean, I know some of this stuff, but not a lot of it. Online research chops. If you go straight to Wikipedia, that's bad. Privacy and security awareness is the next thing. So there's lots of stuff in here, and the main idea here is this is not and has never meant to be a how-to class. I'm not teaching you how necessarily to use computer-mediated communication. Communication studies as a discipline is a much broader discipline than that. I'm trying to understand the nature and the nuances of human communication. But what I'm also saying is that, yeah, you will be learning some of this stuff as well, even as we are sort of studying it. So I do think it's very practical. And then moving on to page 5 or 6, I think I'm on. I just basically sort of said that, moving on to the course description. We're really thinking about how computer-mediated communication, and when I say computer-mediated communication, that's the nerdy sort of academic way in communication studies to talk about social media, anything on the internet, whether it be Facebook, Twitter, websites, all that type of stuff. Any communication that is mediated, that is, the medium is technology or the computer. So iPhone, iPad, all that stuff. We're studying all that type of stuff. And so we're thinking about these larger ideas about how communication within that context impacts who we think we are, impacts how we create and sustain and end relationships with other people, how we create and maintain and perhaps end larger communities. So it is a sort of a big picture class, so you can learn how to use all this stuff, but also be very critically minded when you are actually using all this stuff. And also, one of the things that the textbook offers, it has 4 sections or 4 units, And so those, in a sense, are the general areas that you'll be learning about. So the first little bullet point there is the influence of technology on how relational partners communicate. So when you think relational partners, we're talking about friends, professional co-workers, family members, etc., etc. And we'll also learn processes and goals of computer-mediated communication and personal relationships. So what are the goals? Why do we use CMC in certain ways? And then the influences on CMC on relational context generally. How does it change the way we think about family, the way we think about friendships, the way we think about community? And then the dark side stuff, which is there's a lot of dark side, whether it be bullying, cyber porn, and all that type of stuff. And we'll cover stuff like that. We will not watch any porn, but we will cover some of the research that has been about these darker, problematic sides of CMC. And therefore, the next little thing is the standard official student learning outcomes, or what I call SLOs, S-L-O's. And basically, it's the same stuff. At the end of the class, even though there's no exams or anything like that, my hope is that you will understand the influence that this technology has on how relational communication functions or works or occurs online. That too, you will understand some of the processes and goals of why people use CMC in personal relationships in the first place. 3, you will understand how CMC influences the very nature of the relational context. And then finally, you will understand some of the nuances of these problematic or darker sides of CMC in the context of personal relationships. So I know that's probably a little bit esoteric at this point, but it will become a little bit more specific or concrete as we move into the book and everything like that. The next section, I'll let you read. I'm already getting long-winded. I wanted this first one to be just about 30 to 45 minutes. But basically, I don't want you to lose the fact or sight of that this is indeed a Columbia College is a liberal arts college. It still is. And so, I think it's really, really important for us to know how to do these things, but also to be very critical and about why, what the problems might be with using CMC. What are all the various ways that CMC is influencing how we see ourselves, how we see our relationships, how we see community, how we see the world, etc., etc., etc. So it is part of a larger liberal arts understanding of life. And also it's connected, I think, to issues of leadership. Because to be an effective leader in our society, you have to understand the nuances of computer-mediated communication. And that goes beyond just, online etiquette or how to write a decent email. It's these larger ideas or these larger understandings of all the various influences that CMC has on every facet of our lives. More general outcomes. Again, we're teaching career skills as well. I mean, again, this is not a how-to class in part. It's mostly big picture stuff, but still, all these folks always talk about, here are the skills folks want people to learn in college, like verbal comm skills, no speeches in this class. Work ethic, teamwork skills. Well, you have to have good work ethic because you're on your own in a lot of this stuff. Teamwork skills, analytical skills. This is all about analytical stuff. Initiative. You got to do this stuff on your own in a lot of ways. You have to, watch my stuff. So yeah, we're teaching this stuff perhaps a little bit implicitly, but it's all in there. And also, I saw this from Edudemic. June 7th, so just last month, so it's just out. And it talked about, from Pearson, what they thought, folks thought the main skills students needed after they graduate from college. leadership, digital literacy, communication, emotional intelligence, entrepreneurship, global citizenship, problem solving, team working. And so a lot of these things, sometimes explicitly, but sometimes more implicitly, you will be learning in this particular class and other communication classes. And by the way, I know this is a very diverse class. We have folks who are day students, we have folks that are evening students, we have folks that are in some of the cohort majors, so it's sort of all over the place. So it's sort of cool that we have this diverse crowd. And you might know that Columbia College is all about experiential learning these days. So oftentimes those are doing experiences outside of class. And so I suppose because we are never in class per se, because it's online, we are experiencing lots of different things outside of the classroom. But I do want to make this a very practical class, practical to your own life and to your own experiences, and you will probably see that mainly through the assignments. And here are the assignments. This is what I'm at 25 minutes already, and this is really what you want to know. This isn't, I didn't want to bombard you with stuff. We got 4 weeks, and it's online. And so I wanted to make it challenging, but not overwhelming. I want you to like me. I don't want you to hate me, nor do I want you to love me. Just in the middle. So, no exams, no quizzes. So in a sense, the reading is on your own. I'll never be able to see, per se, if you did all the reading you were supposed to do. So, initiative. First thing, writing to learn on Twitter. Well, the idea of writing to learn is that you write stuff to try to understand stuff. Twitter, if you know anything about Twitter, gives you 140 characters. So I'll say more about this later. But I'm wanting you to try to capture what you think is the most important thing that you learn each week. So get a Twitter account, and you only have to tweet 4 times, so once a week. That is easy. I tweet 4 times a minute. So 4 times. It's only worth 10% of the class. More sort of learning to write applications on Tumblr. I'm going to ask you, again, to get a Tumblr account. And I do have links to all this stuff, and it's really easy, but again, if you have problems, please let me know. Setting up this stuff is really, really quite easy, and you can help each other out as well if you know each other. Just sort of applying what you have read to your own life in a few paragraphs. That's it. Once a week, so only 4 little mini sort of reflective application things on Tumblr. 20%. Learning to write weekly professional emails. I want you to email me once a week, and sort of like with the Twitter stuff, but embellished a little bit. Tell me what you think was the most important thing that you learned that particular week in class, or reflect on some sort of aspect of the class, but send me a professional email with a subject line and all that type of stuff. I do have several links to email etiquette on here, not just hey you, with no subject line. And then, and only 4, so once a week. So the weekly things, tweet a week, Tumblr once a week, you can do more if you want to, and email to me once a week. Easy stuff. And then you will have 2 papers. One is just a 5-page paper. I call it sort of a paper on an applicable website. So basically what I'm going to ask you to do, and I'll get into a little bit more detail here in a second, I'm going to ask you to find a website out there that offers some lessons on using CMC effectively, or says something about using CMC in light of an area that you are interested in, whether it's a career area, a personal area, or something like that. Therefore, if you are majoring in health communication and you want to go out and find something on best practices of using social media to help patients or something, go find that and then write a paper about that. maybe you're doing more leadership and professional communication. You want to go into a certain career